People used to tell me the horrors of Child Protective Services. Just hearing the words would make me cringe. And soon the day would come that we would breathe the words, "Our children are in state custody." My husband and I were like any other couple, hardworking and struggling to find our place in this world. We were new parents trying to cope with not one or two, but 3 beautiful children. Soon, the stress of it all would pile up so high it would become unbearable. It started off small, like most things do, and would soon turn into our own horror story. Things got so out of hand, and our mistake was not asking for proper help. And today we know that in some situations, people do care and want what's best for you. We traveled down a dark, selfish road for a while. Once our addiction put its claws in us, not much mattered after that. As we hit bottom, some surprising outside sources would step in and step up for our family. Our first visit would be from Child Protective Services. They gave us the rundown of who, what, where, when, and why. My husband and I couldn't take the same road of recovery together. There was so much damage and hurt that we had to take a step back and address our own inner demons. The day we stepped in Judge Favre's court, we felt a sense of peace. He had the warmest smile, and soon he would become a part of our lives. We had monthly court hearings that showed him our progress. He never downed us for mistakes or belittled us. When we weren't in court, we had relationships with CASA and many community agencies. They helped us adjust to being parents again. Today, we have our children back and all the confidence in the world to give our children the lives they deserve. Knowing we can call any one of these wonderful people for help gives us hope for our future.
How could anyone let their kids get taken? Those are the words I've always said until I found out how easy it was to fall down the dark path of addiction. Not knowing what my kids were thinking, how scared they were, and not being able to talk to them made me feel that this was going to be impossible to get through. I felt lost, scared, and alone. When I talked to my caseworker, since I had never been involved with Child Protective Services, I realized no one was against me and they wanted me to succeed. At the first court meeting with Judge Favre, it felt like he really understood my situation. He listened and worked with me in order to complete my service plan. We had monthly court hearings, so we were not wondering what was happening with our children. Everyone involved in our case was on the same page. Judge Favre increased the visits with our children so that we can maintain our relationship with them. Even though there were speed bumps along the way, it felt like he had high hopes for us. Although there were a lot of things on my service plan, I didn't look at it as just things to do, but things I needed to do to become a better parent. I went to rehab, parenting classes, and anger management classes, and maintained regular contact with everyone involved in our case. The visit with my children brought up a ball of feelings ranging from excited to sad, knowing that they would be going home with their foster parents. Seeing our children's faces when they arrived gave me the push to do whatever I had to do to have my beautiful babies returned. When we walked into the last court hearing with Judge Favre, everyone had a smile on their faces. It felt like that dark path we went down was much brighter and we were a family again. Looking back on everything we went through reminds me that anyone can overcome anything with the right resources. I know all I have to do is ask.
My name is Alexis Boland, and I began working with the agency in 2017. I decided to work for CPS because I felt that I could help change lives of children and families. I am passionate about children. I began working with Kat and Brian in 2018. This was the first case that I worked from start to finish. Both parents were working on individual plans. I first met with Kat, I was nervous, and I didn't know what to expect. It all just felt new to me. I wanted Kat to be successful, and I tried to gain her trust. Kat and I worked together to develop her plan and to make it realistic for her to get her children back. Then I met with Brian. He was willing to make the changes to be reunited with his children. Brian was often emotional during meetings and visits. I was proud of the steps the family was taking: counseling, rehab, stable housing, stable income, and parenting classes. It was important for Brian and Kat to figure out that they were worthy of their children. When I supervised family visits, the children were excited to see their parents and enjoyed spending time with them. They always made me laugh, and their excitement was contagious. Leaving the visits, the children had a difficult time separating from their parents. It was hard for me too. This helped me realize why all the hard work was worth it. We had court monthly. Judge Favre was always supportive of the family and was happy to hear the progress that they were making. Going to court monthly helped the parents stay motivated and accountable. All the agencies collaborated together to support the parents and provide the needed services. The parents began supporting each other and worked together to complete their service agreements. They both came from the darkest of places and became the parents that they were needed for their children. In August 2019, the parents regained custody of their children. On that day, with tears in my eyes, I felt successful in knowing that family reunification can be achieved.
My name is Lainey Roussel, and I am the parent attorney. I always knew that I wanted to be an attorney and work in the child welfare system. I wanted to have a major impact on the lives of children who could not advocate for themselves in bad situations. I have love for children and a passion for helping. I never thought about the position of the parent attorney as advocating for the child. I was wrong. Parents have a right to their children, but children have a right to their parents. I constantly get asked, how do you represent people who do this or put their kids through this? The simple answer is it's my job. But I work with good parents who are in bad situations. Every day I challenge the cookie-cutter assumption of how parenting should look. I take a different approach, a collaborative one. This job is more than just sitting in a courtroom. I make sure to go to every family team meeting, interact regularly with Child Protective Services, CASA, attend special education meetings with my parents, collaborate with other county resources, and travel to meet my parents at rehabs, hospitals, work, or home. Catherine and Brian's case was one of the first cases I inherited in my career as a parent attorney and my first reunification case. When I began prepping for their case, I heard that Catherine was angry and frustrated with the process. She felt like she wasn't being heard or advocated for. After meeting with them, I knew they wanted their children more than anything, and these children deserved them. I told them I was 100% here for them and only them. 4 months later, they were reunified with their children. I will never forget that day. Judge Favre praised the extensive work and accomplishments that they completed throughout the obstacles and barriers that they had to overcome. When Judge awarded legal and physical custody back to them, it was the moment I realized that this is all worth it. Since that day, I am determined to reunify as many families as I can. There is no greater feeling than to know that you have made one of the biggest and most meaningful differences in someone's life.
My name is Lauren Socher, and I am the court-appointed Special Advocate Supervisor for Karma, Eli, and Paisley. The role of the advocates is to be the voice for the children in the courtroom and to help Judge Favre remember the child when he would make his recommendations about the family. We have regular meetings with the children as well as with Kat and Brian. There were many times where they would refer to us as their stalkers because we always stay on top of Kat and Brian to encourage them to complete their tasks so the children could be reunified and be a healthy, happier family. At our monthly review hearings, Brian and Kat would enter the courtroom and you could tell there was something special about this family to Judge Favre. He would be excited to hear about their progress and would always make sure to point out the positives for them to hear instead of focusing on the areas they needed to improve upon. Every time there was a meeting at Child Protective Services or with the court, all the parties involved would wrap around the family to make them feel supported. With several ups and downs for the parents throughout this case, we continue to advocate for best interests for the children. Watching Karma have to be separated from her brother and sister was a heartbreaking moment in this case, but also a moment that pushed the parents to do what needed to be done to get their children back. The first time the children came to court, they had a big shining smile and wouldn't let go from hugging their parents. This was an important reminder to the court as well as all the people in the room to help remind us of why we were all working so hard to support Kat and Brian. At the end of the 90-day trial, Kat and Brian came to court for the last time. The signs of hope that are displayed around the courtroom could not have been a more perfect image to depict the smiles on their faces, of how proud they were of themselves and how proud the whole team was for this family to be reunified.
My name is Lisa Campbell. I'm the Program Manager of Family Services for Hancock Resource Center. Kat and Brian came to us for assistance through our Navigator program, which was designed to serve as a support system for parents who have open cases with Child Protective Services. The goal of the program is to help parents achieve reunification with their children by guiding them through the court process and working towards self-sufficiency and stabilization. When I first began working with Kat, she was experiencing a myriad of emotions. She felt angry, hopeless, and ashamed. She and Brian had split due to struggles stemming from their drug abuse. Although she was only seeking housing at that time, it soon became apparent that this family's needs were not going to be met through housing alone. Developing trust with Kat was crucial to helping her through this difficult time. Communication between Kat and I was open and candid. She wasn't always happy with me when I had to resort to tough love, but she always came around. Maintaining a sense of humor was important to Kat. She liked to tease me when I said things like, "Get your head out of the sand and keep your eye on the prize." When Kat was feeling overwhelmed, a little laughter and encouragement were key to getting her back on track. Each time she accomplished a task, I could see her confidence grow a little more. She was starting to believe in herself. Once Kat and Brian committed to getting clean and sober, the real healing began. They were communicating more effectively and decided to work together to become the parents their children deserve. Through written correspondence to the youth court, I outlined the progress Kat and Brian were making through our program. When Judge Favre realized how far they had come, he and all of the members of the court literally applauded their efforts right there in the courtroom. After court, Kat and Brian came to my office to tell me all about their court experience. They were so excited and their faces were glowing with pride. Words cannot describe how proud I am of them. They will forever hold a special place in my heart.
I didn't bring any child welfare experience to the bench when I took office in January 2018. I knew I could quickly learn the law, but what I worried about most was getting it right. The right mix of legal knowledge and compassion. I understood the power I had over parents because I had their most valuable possession, their children. I knew I needed to connect with parents on the most basic human level. Parents are broken, ashamed, angry, or frightened when they first come to court. They need to see a face that shows love and concern, to hear a voice that cares. Most of all, they need to hear that I am ready to help them restore their family. I promised myself very early on I would never count a parent out. At my core, I know that every parent is redeemable. With the right path in place, parents can be reunified with their children. Brian and Catherine came into court angry at each other and their circumstances. They were at rock bottom with so many issues. Would they trust me with their hearts? I had to connect and gain their trust immediately. They wanted something different because of their love for their children. Once we connected, I looked forward to the monthly hearings. While there were challenges, they were able to show progress. At times, they were overwhelmed. Their caseworker, attorney, and CASA provided encouragement, as did the court. The monthly hearings allowed them to share their progress and be encouraged, giving them hope. The most memorable moment is when their children came to court. Being able to observe their loving bond was compelling evidence. Little Eli climbed up on his daddy's lap. As Brian began to cry, Eli looked up at his father's face and brushed away a tear from his cheek. To this day, that image is a monument of hope in my heart. On the day their case closed, everyone was so proud. We were all transformed through their process. We will be forever connected because of the collaboration instilled by this court. Their story is a testament to the court's philosophy of giving parents hope.